Hello, Hooligan family. Welcome back. In our last video, hopefully you were able to follow along and actually create a few animations in Mixamo and then download those and load them into Unreal. If you did, then in your content drawer, if you go to animations, you should have a couple of animations. I loaded Happy Idle and Silly Dancing. These are animation sequences in Unreal. If I double click on it, you see that quick animation sequence, and it's the number of frames that we decided on Mixamo. And anyway, lots to go over here, but bottom line is you've got an animation. You've got some silly dancing going on or some Happy Idle. Now what we're going to do is we'll learn to quickly apply that so that when we hit the play button and we're going in our scene, that our Hooli is doing something, because he's still just kind of in that sort of T-pose, and looks great, looks really cool with his hair and his cool new shiny shoes. But let's get him using one of these animations. So to do that, we're going to go back to our blueprints folder, and we're going to create an animation blueprint. Lots to know about blueprints. Please go to Unreal site, read all about it. There's so much to know, but it's a very powerful tool that Unreal uses to allow you to create without, having to code. It writes the code behind the scenes. You can always code, but it allows non-professionals like myself to understand and hopefully be able to do some cool stuff using blueprints by just understanding how they work and how they connect. So we're going to right click in our blueprints folder, and we're going to create an animation blueprint. So go to animation blueprint. Now it's going to ask you, because we're creating an animation, which skeleton would you like to run this animation against? Well, we have our Hooli skeleton here, so we'll create it against that. And let's call this Hooli Animation 01. All right, because we're gonna create multiple ones, and we don't know what we're gonna do with them fully yet, but we'll just call it Hooli Animation 01. You can go change it later. Let's double click on that. So we've opened up the animation blueprint. Now there is a lot to understand in here, but what I'm going to point you to is these two tabs here. There's animation graph and event graph. Events are things happening in game that we will learn a little bit about in subsequent videos on how to apply things there. But anim graph is what we're going to focus on now. And we have this output pose anim graph, which is the output of whatever animation that we want to apply. Now on the right here, what you see is our animations. So it's smart enough to know, and the animations folder is looking for animation sequences. That's what the type of object this is in the game. It's animation sequence, and it sees that we have Happy Idle and Silly Dance. So let's drag Happy Idle or whatever idle you had out into the anim graph. And all you're going to do is you're going to connect that to the output pose. So the result of Happy Idle there is to the output pose. And you're going to hit compile and save. And what you see here is our Hooligan is now, he's got this animation, right? But let me close this out and let's play our game. Still not moving. And the reason that is we haven't associated this particular animation yet with this character. And so what we have to do is go back to the content drawer, go back into our blueprints directory, and find our character blueprint. So remember, we have our animation blueprint, which simply says the output of the pose here in this particular class is going to be Happy Idle. But in our character blueprint, if we go to our mesh, so open up your character blueprint and go to mesh. So we have our mesh here, and on the right hand side, it gets into the animation tab. So mesh, animation, and it says use animation blueprint, but there's no class. So if we choose our Hooli Animation 01 class, so use animation blueprint, Hooli Animation 01 class, hit compile and save. And by the way, on blueprints, save often and compile often. If you have errors, it will tell you what's going on down here. So you see this compiler results screen here. That was successful, and you got a nice green check up there. Compile and save. So to recap, we have created a simple animation, and we have assigned the happy idle as that animation that we want to play. And we have said to our character, told Unreal, our character, our Hooli, apply that animation class to the character. Now what do you think is going to happen? Hopefully, voila, there we are. So we have this idle animation now. We start our scene, and there's our Hooligan. He's kind of chilling and doing that happy animation. I kind of love that, swagger he's got there. So hopefully you were able to follow along there. Again, we created our first animation blueprint. We applied the happy idle animation to it, and then we applied that to our character so that we can play that in our scene when we play it. So hopefully that was helpful, and in the next video we'll get a little bit deeper into working with some animations.